So we developed a menu pricing system, and it's a menu with 5 different price points. So a service technician could walk into a home and they could say, "Hey, Drew, it's $250 to fix your ceiling fan today." Or they could use the new flat rate and they could walk into your home and say, "Here's a menu of options." And then they just shut up and they show you the menu that's already pre-created, and it's on iPad or Android, right? And it might go all the way up to $1,200 up here. And so the customer takes a look and they make a decision based on price and their own budget. And they're like, "Hey, I would like that choice right there in the middle," and it's $750. So automatically there's no sales pressure, and the technician can do what he does best or she does best, diagnose and repair. Great craftsmanship. They don't have to worry about being a superstar salesperson. The system does the selling.
Welcome to Whiskey is for Closers, the podcast where bold founders share their journey from scrappy startup to scalable success. Today's guest took a little bit of a different path, and instead of scrapping to become a better salesperson, she built a system that eliminated the need to sell altogether. And I got to tell you, I'm already interested in this story.
Hello.
Danielle didn't start the new flat rate from scratch. She inherited a family business and had the audacity to completely reinvent it. And now she's revolutionizing how contractors price their services, liberating technicians from sales pressure, and somehow making everyone even more money in the process. So grab your whiskey and let's dive into the conversation about family legacy and the radical idea that the best sales strategy might be not selling at all. So Steve, Drew, before we get to that, quick round. What are we drinking today?
Okay, I'm Leaper Sport today, one of our staples.
That's a good
our
one.
staples. Yep. Good old
That's a good
Leaper
one.
Sport, Tennessee, baby.
Leaper Sport,
All right.
Tennessee.
I'm coming at us here with a little Macallan 12. This will punch you right in the teeth. And I said, I need something. I have been behind my desk all day. I need to be punched in the teeth. So I went to Mr. Macallan. So thank you very much for that, Mr. Macallan.
That's funny. And guys, you know this about me. I do love whiskey, but my staple, my go-to is always gin and tonic. And I just needed a refreshing day today. So I went with Castle and Key Roots of Ruin dry gin from Kentucky. So that's what I will be drinking today. And Danielle, putting you on the spot, is it water?
No. Today, have you guys tried L&T? Stay salty.
No.
I have
Oh my
had
gosh.
Element before. That stuff is super salty.
L&T, check it out. This is black cherry lime. It's like so good, but it's 1,000 milligrams of sodium. I don't know if that's too much or not, but it comes in a can, so I figure they know what they're doing.
Totally.
That is
Right?
salty.
Absolutely. Amazing.
Tastes great. Was I supposed to drink, or are we gonna cheers first?
No. Yeah. We can drink.
Okay.
We'll do a toast
Dude,
at the very
try that.
We'll
end
do
as
a
well.
toast
Totally.
at the end, but yeah, we'll cheers to that.
Well, and
Cheers
in
to
the
some
famous
salty
words,
water.
of Bobby Boucher, that is some quality H2O.
You got to say
Nice,
it. You got
Drew.
to say
I like
it right,
that.
man. You got to go with
That's some high quality H2O.
That was pretty good, Drew.
That was awesome.
That's funny.
Oh my gosh. So Danielle, before we kind of dive in, let's address the elephant in the room. Usually we're interviewing founders. You didn't start this company from scratch. You took over the family business. That is a whole different kind of pressure, right?
I mean, Craig, we're gonna fight about this till the day I die. So no, let me correct you. Your story is wrong.
Love
We will
it.
fight
Come
about
on.
this my whole life. We will fight about this. So I will give credit where credit is due. Yes, the idea was my dad's. He gets to be the founder. We'll let him do that. But I was there on day one. I filed the articles of incorporation. I got the bank account. I used my savings account, my credit cards to go,
Come
in
on.
the hole to start the business. And then everybody says, I took it over? Craig.
That's Danielle. I didn't know. That's amazing. I love that. That
Set the
changes
record
changes everything.
Now, my wonderful brother, who's our executive vice president, and we would not be here without him, he puts the word founder on his email signature.
What? And you
Thank
let
you,
him?
Drew.
No, that is not all right.
I don't let
That's
him.
hijacking.
I mean, I'm just like, so then people think, well, Danielle, you just showed up on the scene later on, and wow, that's cool. No.
So
Yeah,
Danielle,
you just
with With good
Everybody's
reason, you
telling.
should be judging us really harshly right
That's
now
right,
for
man. You were
missing
telling.
like the biggest part of the story that you are a founder.
Thing, Craig, like everybody misses
Sure.
that part. They're like, so like it was your dad's business for no.
Love it. Love it.
So then
Love
Well,
it.
one time somebody actually said, so I get why your dad is the CEO. That makes sense. But like, I don't understand why you're the president. It's like, what?
wow.
I don't understand why you're anyway. So how it happened was when my dad, our founder, had this great idea to start this business, he kept calling, "Hey, I got this idea. I got this idea." And I was like, "Okay, go do it. That's a great idea. Go do it." It's like, "Well, I can't. I need your help." I was like, "Well, I'm doing my own thing, but when your dad calls and gives you an opportunity to build something together, you'd regret that opportunity if you passed it up, right?" And so I'm thinking about it, and I'm like, it would be awfully fun to do this together. So then one night he calls, and I remember I pull over on the side of the road, and my mom's there. It's on speakerphone, and they're like really excited. And he's like, "Danielle, I'm gonna do it." He says, "But I need your help. So if you will move home," I was living in California, "move back to Georgia, help me start this company. I'll give you 50%. You can be president, and I'll pay you $75,000 salary." I was like, "Oh, okay, well, if I'm president, I will name my own salary, thank you, and I will come home." So from the beginning, I was a 50% owner, and that's the true story. So I'll stop there, but I'm just setting the
Wow.
record flat.
That's awesome.
That's well. Thanks for cleaning that up for us, Danielle.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
There's still a reinvention story though, right? So there a this is what it started as and this is what it became, or no? Have you been doing the same thing the same way since the beginning when Dad had the idea?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think the reinvention has been the simplification. It's
Okay.
really hard to make things simple. You guys know that. How do you sell something? It's got to be simple, right? Or how do you not sell and sell? It's got to be simple. And so I think over time, it's been the reinvention of simplicity, getting it easier and easier and easier and easier.
Mm.
And that has been the difficult thing because in the beginning, it's like, I got this great idea. And every time you say it to somebody, they're like, what? You doing what? Over time. And so now, like the stories change. So I guess there's been reinvention and of course with technology. So
Yeah.
yes, technology's played a big piece of that too.
Okay. Well, then, so give us the kind of the short version of the big story. Like, what was the big idea, and how has that changed since inception?
The big idea was, hey, we could walk into any business on a Tuesday and put money in the bank by Friday for payroll for them. That was the idea. We called it Just One Look. We had coffee cups. I still got one on my shelf. Just One Look. Us was the company. And so we can walk into by any business, really specifically home services, construction, residential contractors. We can walk into your business and we can help find ways that you can make more money in here. And then you can have money for payroll on Friday. So it was almost help me with the word consultative.
Yeah.
So it's a little bit more of a consultative approach of like, okay, we can help you. And then it got to where, okay, you can't just walk in and consult the whole world. So instead, we developed a system to do the selling for them. I don't know how far you want me to go into that, so I'll just stop.
Yeah, we'll keep peeling the layers back on that. But so that when you said that, and it sounded like consulting to me, right? It sounded like
Mm, yeah.
were you guys going in and you were finding money that they didn't know they had, or what were you doing?
We thought, it's so funny. It's like you think you can just like, hey, we have ideas. We can, people just want us to give our opinions, right? No, everybody doesn't want your opinions. And so we thought that we could go in and help them with their marketing, with their, ideas, picking up the phone, outbounding, doing activities, action items to drum up more money, to take a look at their service call life cycles, to lift up the technicians, to make sure that they're picking up the lost opportunity. And so we knew we could do some of that consultative, but then what we looked at in our own, my dad had a contracting company at the time. We started looking at the patterns that were repeatable, that actually were generating revenue, and that's where we actually simplified onto a system and a process and a product that could do it. I'm gonna keep stopping because I don't know how far you want me to go. And then
Yeah,
one
yeah.
time people are like, "Could you talk in bits, not like miles?" All right.
Cliffhangers are always helpful, right?
Absolutely.
I love cliffhangers. All right, so I'm curious, Danielle. You and your dad started this together. There had to have been moments and times where he brought ideas, you had ideas, they were not compatible. Maybe they were. How did you work through the non-compatible ideas and thoughts? And how did you work through kind of the family dynamics of the two of you and your brother being a part of that? How did all that kind of
Mhm.
play out for you guys?
For the sake of just honesty and transparency, and anybody on here that's new, maybe your company is younger or not. Like in the beginning days, we were in the garage at my dad's house in the garage, and the garage was filled with boats and four wheelers, so there was stuff everywhere, right? And so the first employee, she was like, "Can I please have a desk that's in the same spot tomorrow as it was today?" Because it was like a $49 Walmart desk, and we're like moving it all over the garage every day. Every night it's in a different spot, and I was like, "That's not too much to ask." She just wants to know that you know you guys ever seen that movie, Office Space? Where he's like,
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm gonna need you to move." He's like, "No, no." So that was definitely the early days, but there was one room in the back, and that was kinda Rodney and I both were in this office, and all it had was a round table in it, and so it was an empty room, and this is how we built our company. Empty room, round table in the middle, and so we just took paper and taped it to the walls all the way around the room, and we'd just write, website, product, sales, marketing, the list, all the different things around the room. And every day when ideas would come, we'd add it to the different areas on the wall and we kind of work and start working on things. And we didn't really have conflict. He was a visionary and I was an operator, especially in that season. I was excited to be building. I liked making traction. He had ideas and knew what he wanted, and I liked to implement. So that was okay. And I'll come back to early days. Conflict in family came later. In 2022, split the ownership, and my brother and sister became owners as well. And so, just being honest in family dynamics and business, that's where the conflict came in. Not so much for them, but it was changing. My dad was moving into retirement, and the person that I had been, in the thick and thin the whole time with, although my brother and sister had been there, the conversations, the pain, when people went without paychecks, it was my dad and I going out without paychecks, not my brother and sister. And so, not that they weren't in it, but the ownership, the mantle, the heaviness, the authority,
Yeah.
that ownership had just been my dad and I for so long. So when we shifted and he started going into retirement, we didn't do that well. We didn't talk about what's this look like? Like, are you sailing off into the sunset? Are you not? We definitely did not do that well at all. It was messy. And so it was more of he wanted to be a part of it, but I'm like, you're not here anymore. So like, no, you can't come in and just throw ideas anymore. Like we now have a plan. And so that was stressful for the family, but bringing my brother and sister into ownership, they were excited. And so they're like, "Hey, yeah, we're owners now of something that we've helped build and we've been here all along." And we probably didn't handle that well either. That should have been way more embracing of, "Hey guys, what would you like the future to look like?" But instead, it was painful for me because I felt like I love my brother and sister, but the ownership was now changing. And so the shares were changing, and that hit me in a way that was very much not expected, right? And
Yeah.
so that was a book that I hadn't read before. We could just say that, like the emotions that came with that. And then being at the leadership table with my brother and sister saying, "All right, what's the direction of the business?" They did have other ideas. And so we were not in alignment. And so we avoided each other. Not meaning to. We had great
Sure.
times and, loved each other's families at Thanksgiving and Christmas, but in the building, we kind of avoided each other, and it's easy to do. Everybody's busy doing
That's
their own
tough though.
lane. And so
Yeah.
it wasn't until I got to give a big old plug to EOS, the Entrepreneur Life. And when we
You
started
got it.
EOS, yeah, that's what brought us into alignment. And so 3 years later, my brother, sister, and I love working in this business together. We're very excited. We're moving in the same direction. We have all the same plans and goals. We're supporting each other. But the messiness for years, we were unprepared for. We didn't handle them well. Anyway, long story short, the conflict of, fighting didn't come in 2011. It came in 2022.
So, Danielle, I'm making an assumption here. Are you the visionary?
I had to grow into it, Craig.
Really?
Yeah, because
Okay.
my dad always was, right? The CEO,
Got it.
he was always
Yeah.
visionary naturally. And so over time, it's been about 8 years that he's been stepping out of the business. And so the more he did, I believe that muscle just began to strengthen more for myself. And the more ownership that I took of, all right, so this is the direction that we're going and really owning it, I began to grow in that visionary role. It wasn't as natural for me. But you're asking specifically in EOS for anybody that doesn't know, the visionary is a position. It's a seat at the table. And so we decided not to have that seat. We actually are bringing leadership from the team and vision from the team, not leadership, but vision from the team. And so we don't have a visionary role. But as CEO of the
Fascinating.
company,
Really?
I bring vision. So yeah, we run it different. And they said the majority of EOS companies, our implementer, he's like, there's a couple that run without a visionary and it's fine because the vision comes from within, but majority do have a visionary in the seat. And of course, usually it's the founder.
Yeah. Very cool. Very
Yeah,
cool.
that's
Thanks for
really interesting.
indulging me.
Yeah, I'm the visionary here at Altez. We run on EOS as well, Danielle. So I play that role as the visionary, and Craig is the integrator for us. And yeah, we've been running on EOS almost since day one. And yeah, can't imagine doing it any
Awesome.
other way. It's amazing how that keeps everybody in line and on track
Well,
and accountable.
and something that was interesting is when you start a business, you don't know that, or maybe you do, but some of us don't, that you actually need a way of conducting business. Like,
Yeah.
the product or the service that you sell, but to have a way of doing business, an operating system for the business, your business that you started didn't come with an operations manual. You've got to try to write it, right? And everybody's got different ideas. And so we would go to different trade shows. My brother would go to a show. He'd be like, hey, we're going to run it this way. I'd go to a show. Hey, we're going to run it this way. And that just doesn't work because you never could all the way follow through. So when we found EOS, it was no, we are going to operate this way, and this is the hill we're dying on. Like this is the
Well,
only operating system we're doing.
and what's really great about, especially in the situation where you have overlapping dynamics, right, with the family,
Yeah.
the system allows accountability as opposed to a person. So the accountability really is going, but this is what the system outlines for us for how we follow and do business, as opposed to, Danielle, are you doing that because you want to be in charge? Are you doing that because you're trying to make it personal? It's like, no, this is how we
Right.
do things, right? So it really is
Yes.
a great strategy for situations like that to be able to go, hey, no, we're following this system. It has nothing to do with, what I want, don't want, or personal or anything like that.
Hmm.
Yeah.
That's good, Drew. Hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm curious, Danielle, since this is a sales podcast after all, when you first started out working with dad, who wore the primary sales hat?
Such a good question, right? Like, who's gonna sell? He did.
Okay.
Yeah, and he was pretty much full-time in the sales seat, and so at all the trade shows, on all the podcasts, all the webinars, and then doing all the one-on-one demos, and what was beautiful is he had the story. He shared the same pain, and people even today, they're like, "I talked to your dad 10 years ago, and, he said this, and I remember." I'm just like, "Wow." So he related with them so well because it was burst out of his pain, right? So he was in the sales seat for a very long time.
Yeah. And did he ever get out? And what did that look like if he did?
He did get out. He was in the sales seat till probably 2015, 16. So that's going to be 4 or 5 years already, right there, full time in the sales seat. And what helped was getting a sales support role, somebody that would confirm the demos, book the demos, confirm the demos, follow up on the demos, right? Which is just appointments. And so it's like the appointment setter position. And then somebody's hosting the appointment, and then the appointment setter is following up. And what I wish we would have done in hindsight is always had that position as a grooming role, as the first
Mm.
stepping stone, knowing
Yeah.
that they are going to become this next sales rep. We stumbled on that over years. I wish we would have done that right away. That way we would have always had a bench, and then we would have hired, say, hey, we need a salesperson. Okay, let's look at somebody that wants to climb into a sales role. Instead, we were hiring customer service, clerical, administrative type personalities that didn't want to climb into those positions. And so then if either of the position turned over, we were left with a hole. And I say that because we learned, Steve, very painfully, it was so hard to grow the sales team. We always only had one person in the seat. And then that person left and we had a huge hole. And then trying to train somebody again was very difficult. That to have a sales team of more than one person was a big struggle for us.
Yeah. You're talking about creating the pipeline for more
Hmm.
salespeople coming in. I think
Hmm.
that's a really big deal.
Mhm.
And a lot of times we don't think about it, right? We get that first
Yeah.
person salesperson in the seat, and then we think they're going to be here forever, and they're
Yeah.
usually not, you know.
Nope.
But you're right. I think that first sales admin appointment setting kind of setter is a great place to learn and hone your skills, and then that's a natural progression up to an account executive or closer, right?
Yeah, and they're learning. They're learning about the product. They're listening to you. They are learning the sales pitch, and so then the
Yeah.
learning curve is so much shorter when they're like, "All right, yeah, I'm ready to climb. I'm ready to be in that sales seat." So I do wish, in hindsight, I would have done that differently. So now that's way more formalized for us.
That's awesome. Well, that's the kind of stuff we'd like to talk about here, right? What are the lessons
It
we
is.
learned
Yeah.
that are like, hey, what I wish I could have gone back and done that
Yeah.
differently. By the way,
Yeah.
visionary idea for you. You talked about how there's no book out there about doing business with family. Maybe you should write the EOS book for family-owned businesses. That could be a
Well, and you
thing.
know what, Steve? I'm gonna tell you, the first page, this is what it's going to say. Admit it. You are a family business. Just admit it.
Yeah,
I was like, "No, we're not a family business. We're related. We work together. We're not a family business." I was in denial the whole time. I
interesting.
was just like, "No, no, no. Yeah, we work together. We're all friends, but like it's not a family business." I was in denial and had blinders on that because it was family, it was affecting the way we made decisions.
Hmm.
Interesting.
But it
Interesting.
does. And so now
You
I admit it. I'm like, "Yes, we're a family business."
So
Of course.
you weren't avoiding it because you were embarrassed about it. That wasn't why you were avoiding it, saying that we're a family business. Like, did you think there was a stigma associated with that?
In part, yes. In
Okay,
part, I felt like it would make people think that we were small.
gotcha.
I
Interesting.
associated the word family business with just a small mom and pop shop.
Yeah,
And we were trying to, become industry standard and have a global presence. And so to me, I associated that. But look at all the family businesses. Look at Walmart. Wasn't that a family business?
yeah, I
100%.
think it was pretty sure.
So when your dad stepped out of that sales role, how did that impact the business? Did you see a big dip? Did you see that there was, my gosh, we see a massive gap? Was that pretty quickly you started to see? Like, what was the impact of that transition for you guys?
Great question. I think, like I said, because we had stumbled, that by the time we finally had a sales support person in the seat working directly with him that did want to climb, that person did climb and took over and was a natural salesperson and did really well. Where we failed that person is not giving them a sales support behind them. We're like, oh, they can book their own demos. Rodney couldn't because, he's the founder, he's busy, and he deserves more time off, but this person can do the selling, do the appointments, do the closing, do all the paperwork, and in hindsight, we shouldn't have done that, right? And so the closing rate stayed and was good, and we had sales, but the burnout, we didn't take care of our person that we put in that role. And that also comes with a family business because,
Hmm.
oh, well, it's my dad. He doesn't have to work 40 hours a week. It's my dad. And I say that in the utmost respect, right? But the sales rep, boy, he has to work 40 hours a week. Okay, so it wasn't fair.
Hmm.
Life
Hmm.
isn't fair. We tell our kids that all the time.
100%.
All the time. Absolutely. Well, so Danielle, you promised us a story about a you can't make this up moment where the pricing system that you've developed completely changed the outcome of a job. So I want to give you the opportunity to kind of set the scene and tell us about that. And yeah, I would love to hear more about that great story that you promised.
Thank you. So behind me, it's a Samsung Flipboard. So when you
So
go
cool.
places, it's like those sticky notes, the flip chart sticky notes, like the big
Yeah.
sticky notes, right? So this is just a flip chart like that, but it's digital. So anyway, it just makes it really easy for me to go like, oh, look, here's what our system looks like. So we developed a menu pricing system, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And it's a menu with 5 different price points. So a service technician could walk into a home and they could say, "Hey, Drew, it's $250 to fix your ceiling fan today." Or they could use the new flat rate and they could walk into your home and say, "Here's a menu of options." And then they just shut up and they show you the menu that's already pre-created and it's on iPad or Android, right? And it might go all the way up to $1,200 up here. And so the customer takes a look and they make a decision based on price and their own budget, and they're like, "Hey, I, would like that choice right there in the middle," and it's 750. So automatically, there's no sales pressure, and the technician can do what he does best or she does best, diagnose and repair. great craftsmanship. They don't have to worry about being a superstar salesperson. The system does the selling. The reason I say that is that you can't make this up is one of our contractors is a plumber in Louisiana. He's like, I'm not so sure if this is going to work in my area. I'm not so sure. And so he follows the system. He goes in, he does the diagnosis, and he's like, all right, here's a menu page, and the customer chose the platinum. And that's the what we call the top option, the platinum. So the customer chooses the platinum. He's like, oh my gosh. And she's like, well, what about the other stuff in my home? He's like, what? You guys aren't going to believe this. So that customer bought 43 platinums on that job by that technician. 43. So what I
What?
mean is when we price our services in business, we've got a, hey, here's the bare bones, here's the cost, here's what I can do. So you could do that and then diagnose 43 other things in the home and like bare bones it. But he showed 43 menus and she chose the top option on every single one. You can't make that up. And here's why it's important for all of us is because people, you don't
Yeah,
know what's
true.
important to
Totally.
them. We
Right?
gotta quit assuming, right? We don't know. But she liked her stuff. This customer did, right? Like just think gold plated faucets and the gold toilet seats, all the awesome things that come with them. Like that's what she wanted. And so don't sell her less. But if we don't show options and if we don't allow customers to choose, if we try to judge, then we miss out on those opportunities. So Steve, thanks for letting me share that because I mean I'm still mind blown. I'm like, wait, 43 what? How do you have a house big enough for 43 things? Do you know how many
That's
bathrooms that had to have
wild.
been? Like
That's
who
Yeah.
has
crazy.
who is this? I mean, she's like a
So,
movie star.
Yeah.
Danielle,
Probably, right?
I'd love for you to step back for a second. What is it that you saw that others didn't in creating this system?
Yeah, like the whole idea of like technicians selling, right? You
Mhm.
Yeah.
obviously saw something about that and you were like, that ain't working. Let's fix it.
You're
Mhm.
flipping the script on an industry, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, we saw the 80-20 rule that
Hmm.
20% are unicorns and they are people and they can walk in with great finesse and be like, "Hey Craig, you know, we're besties, love your hat and I'm going to sell you this new HVAC system today and you're going to buy it from me." Right? 20% of them are that. What is your hat anyway?
It is a Swedish outdoor company. It's Fjallraven. I totally butchered it, but
Can't say it.
it means snow fox in Swedish.
That
Sweet.
sounds way better to say snowfox than whatever that other thing was you
Totally.
said.
That was a
That's
butchered Swedish version of snow fox.
I like it. I like the snow fox.
Yeah.
So,
See, you can see the
what we
fox.
saw is that 20% are great at that, and they're great at offering the compliments and doing the things and getting the high ticket sales that the business needs. The company needs some high ticket sales sometimes to run, right? And so that's what we saw is the 80-20 rule that 20% could do it, but 80% of the technicians, that's not who they were. And so you send them to sales training and you try to turn them into this unicorn. And we saw the industry fighting this battle of taking a personality set. If you guys have ever taken the like disc personal or profiles and stuff like that, right? They were taking these helpful, fix it craftsmen that want to be working with their hands. They did not want to be salespeople and trying to train them to become what they weren't. And so for a little while, sometimes that works, right? We can all shiny up a little bit sometimes, but it's so draining on us to do it long term, right? It's like you can only be who you're not for so long and then it's exhausting. And so that's what we saw is that 80-20 rule of what can we do for that 80% because that's the majority. What can we do that does the selling for them to make their lives easier so they get to do what they like? And so that's what it was is how do we create a pattern, a menu of options, choices that a customer can choose? You know what else? I'm going to stop talking, I know. But it's like we shifted the responsibility on the sales. Instead of
Hmm.
saying it's the technician's job to sell, no, it's the customer's job to buy.
That's
I
Interesting.
love that
literally
mindset.
Yeah.
That was literally what I was thinking as you showed that and told that story, because that's the first time I heard it. Immediately, what I thought was you just put the power of sales into the customer as opposed to the
Mhm.
technician. And
Which
so
they have
now
Yeah.
you're
anyway,
going
right?
exactly.
Yeah.
So tell me, I'm interested, how did that change the technicians? Like, what did you start to see in them as technicians? What did you see in the business as a whole? What was the outcome
Mhm.
of shifting and changing that?
Yeah. Getting belief and buy-in's hard. So you can tell us that, hey, your product's the best. And, getting people to use it's hard. So what we saw first is technicians saying, those platinum price points, that's too high. My customers won't pay that. No, I can't charge that. I'm ripping them off. And so then what do we have to do? We have to continue to simplify of, oh, you think you're ripping them off? You're not. Let us show you what we're doing. That top option, what we did is we built in more value, better parts, better pieces, more time, better warranties. You're not so we had to show the technician that. And we had to give them their own page of, hey, this is what you're doing. So, oh, I'm actually doing more for them. And so once they had that buy-in, then it's like, all right, but now I have to actually try it. And so when they would try it, then the technicians are like, oh my gosh, I just got, XYZ average service tickets. I've never had that my whole life. And my boss is paying me on a performance pay plan. And so now take a look at this. And so we get text messages all the time of, I just bought a house. I never thought I was going to be able to buy a house. I just bought a truck off the showroom floor at Toyota. Never thought I was going to be able to do that. And it's security for their family, and it's a love for the industry that they're in. And we want them to be paid what they're worth. And so I think that's a big part of the excitement too, is once we saw the shift of, wait a minute, they're getting excited too. It's not just, hey, we think that we can help the majority here. They're like, wait a minute, you're changing our lives. And I love to say it, but now they get to make it home to let their dog out, make it to their kids' baseball game. They don't have to work 10 jobs a day. They can work 3 to 5 jobs a day. And now we're giving work-life balance back, and they're seeing that. And so it's just the best thing. It's very altruistic. It's awesome.
That's amazing. Yeah. And, as I was listening to you, I was thinking, if I'm a technician and I'm like, I'm not a salesperson, that's not what I do. But now I'm naturally doing it because now I'm going, hey, this is just something we're doing to help make this a better experience for you. And now you're going, I'm naturally doing this because I believe in what it is that I'm sharing with them. That's brilliant. I love it.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's about them, right? It's about the people that we serve. And so yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah, that's great. So Danielle, I think it's counterintuitive for especially those of us in sales to think about how focusing on the pricing, like you're doing, is actually doing the selling in some ways, right? You're showing the pricing, letting the customer choose. That's very counterintuitive because a lot of times salespeople are like, no, it's about the value, not the pricing, right?
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
how do you reconcile that piece of it? And what does the technician do when they show the menu and the buyers go like, I don't know. I don't know what to do. There's too many choices.
You said some really cool things because can I just go back to my whiteboard?
Yeah, go back to yeah, I love it.
Speaking of, you know what my brother had the audacity to tell me the other day? He's like, Danielle, I'm the one that taught you to write while you talk.
Everybody
Thanks,
wants to
brother.
take credit for your gifts, Danielle. What's up with that?
Well, he does have founder behind his name, so
He does have founder, yeah. That does. It gives us
So,
permission.
so price versus value. Going back to your question now that I
Yeah.
sidetracked us, price versus value. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. So we even say that it's about price until you make it about something else. And so it's hard to say, oh, there's all these prices and this one's high and this one's low. Let's make it about value instead. And it is true. We want to build value in the top option. This is the best option. Like, let's build value up here. And so we do want to do that. But the psychology of the numbers is that people set their own budget. You want to have, when you build your own pricing system, and again, this is for anybody, when you're setting up your prices in any business, your business, my business, all of it, is this there's got to be an affordable option of, oh good, I can afford to do business with you. And that's just psychology, and it's a trust factor. It's got to be affordable. And then the top option, it is value, but there's a dollar assigned to it. And so when they can see the spread and the difference and the value is built up there, they move themselves up. That might be getting kind of lost on a podcast because it's like, yeah, you guys been drinking whiskey, but I mean, and
Well,
gin.
for the YouTube watchers, they're gonna get it because you got the Samsung board behind you. So yeah.
Well, I
No,
mean,
I think that's
oh, you
really
know what? One
interesting.
thing you said you said, is it too many options?
Yeah,
And the
yeah.
psychology, this is what's cool on that. It wasn't me. It was like a economist that came up with this that won a bunch of, famous awards, but that the mind automatically removes 2 options. So when you do good, better, best, you do 3, you do a proposal, you're like, "Hey, good, better, best." The the mind's automatically gonna remove 2 of those options off the table right away. So then you just got 1 choice. It's take it or leave it. It's like, I don't like that option." So then all of a sudden you've got more objections coming up in the sales process. But with 5, what we've found is that the mind's gonna remove 2, and then you're left with 3, and they're gonna choose the middle because the middle is safe, and that's what people like safety. That's just our DNA. We like safety.
Couldn't agree more to that. Yeah, that is absolute. That's just human nature, right? So why
Mhm.
fight it? Just work with it.
Yeah, I love
Yep.
when people are like, "5's too many." I was like, "Okay."
Yeah.
And we've been
Whatever.
doing it for 14 years in 50
It's
states and 4
working.
provinces of Canada and Australia, but, it's too many. I
Well,
didn't say that.
so Danielle, I've got just a little bit of a transition here because you brought up a technician in Louisiana. Drew earlier at the beginning of the show did a water boy impersonation, so I just can't let that connection go. So I need you to tell us a funny, like the funniest, most awkward, like technician sales story that you can think of. You got one?
I don't know. I don't know.
No? How about like the
Yeah, probably funniest. No, I don't even know if I can say this. It's just we have a lot of technicians that that don't speak English,
yeah?
right? And so there's been a lot of funny language barriers that have come up along the way. There's a lot, and doing business with all kinds of cultures, it's just funny, and we all understand things differently, and that is funny, and let's laugh about it, right? And I
Yeah.
love
100%.
that we work with so many different kinds, but that's a lot of it is like they're like showing prices and they don't know any other words on the page and it's like not their language and so I don't have any like on the top of mind that are super funny except for that. Just the all the communication funniness of people not speaking the same language and then figuring things out together and able to transact business. I mean it's funny and awesome. But
Yeah. I think,
I
well,
don't
I
know.
mean,
You guys come up with some.
no, that's I did well. So in my mind, I'm thinking about I mean the reality of the language, the barriers that we deal with now and the world we live in are real.
Mhm.
But when I think about it in the context of Georgia or
Yeah.
Mississippi, Alabama, it's like I can think of all kinds of funny things just to make up about those kind of
Just to
experiences,
make up.
right? Just to make up. I could make up stuff that would be hilarious, but we don't need to do that. So, but yeah, I think that that clearly is another benefit of what you've built, right? Is you're getting around that kind of barrier with something that's just again simplified, like you said at the beginning.
Yeah. Not about pricing or sales. Our technicians are awesome. So they don't ever do wrong. But the homeowners,
But
the
yeah,
homeowners, the
you
amount
got
of
stories
homeowners
there.
that show up without clothes on at the door is just weird.
What?
Like, it's just weird. The
What
technicians are
is
like,
that?
yeah, no, we can't do business here. No. It's like, who are you people? So
Choose from this
so
list,
those kind
please.
of stories, I'm like, the kind of environments people live in and the kind of, and then just the kind of places these technicians have to work. And we're just like, so there's a whole nother kind of homeowners. That's all of us. Homeowners are another kind of crazy.
It's
That's what I should
incredible.
have asked the story. Homeowner stories. There you go.
They're
Oh,
What
crazy.
yeah.
dang.
Well, Danielle, as we kind of start to wrap up our conversation, I'd love for you to share, any advice to anybody who's listening, whether they fall in one of these two categories, either they're looking to start their own business or maybe advice for others taking and working alongside a family business, right? What advice would you give to people who are picking up that phone call, pulling off the side of the road, their mom, their dad, whoever just called them about ready to share this amazing idea? What advice would you say? Hang up? What would you say to them? I would love to know. Run?
It's not me that said it, right? I learned this along the way, but I'm not the first one to say it. The amount of risk, those that win are the ones that just don't quit, right? And so when the going gets tough, you just don't quit. But honestly, I was not married and did not have children when we started. And could I afford to take the risk that I took if I had the children? I don't so timing is really important And so being honest with yourself is, can you actually put in what it's going to take to start this new business in this season of life? Like, that's a good, honest question to ask yourself. And so it was low risk for me because I was like, well, if I fail, I don't have a bunch of, people depending on me. Like, it's not a big deal. I can go do something else and I will survive. But going all in when you decide to do it, like burning the boats, there's no going back. To me, that's the only way. Is we're going to go until we die and we're going to make it work. And I believe that that's been a big part of our success, is there's no turning back. And now that I do have the most awesome 4 kids and a wonderful husband, yeah, the risk still is a little bit less, right? I don't take the risk. But the other thing is, we're 14 years in, and Starbucks says it best. It takes 20 years to become an overnight success. And so I tell the team all the time, I'm like, 6 more years, and everybody's gonna think that we're like everywhere. I'm like, just 6 more years. So you got to stay in there, right? And you got to. Some people do. Some people do overnight, 3 years, and they're like huge. And I'm like, how'd you do that? But for the majority of us, you got to put in the time and give it everything and burn those boats. And it's so fun, right? And then I like to say too, I said this to somebody the other day. I was like, I wish I was as rich as everybody thinks I am.
Right? Oh my gosh. What
And
is
I
up with
wish that
that?
I wish as a business owner that I was like, I wish that I had all the freedom and the no stress that everybody thinks I have. So, right. And then when people are like, I'm starting to get some gray hairs, I'm like, what? You're starting to get some gray hairs? Let me introduce you to my blonde hairstylist. That's the advice I'd give people. Let's find you
That's
somebody
amazing.
really good to dye your hair and then burn the
That's
boats
amazing.
and go all in.
Oh my God.
Well,
I love
and
that.
Danielle,
I
what you're
love that.
referencing, was that Cortez burn the boats? What was that story?
Burn the ship.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
so. I
Yeah.
think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very cool. Very cool. Well, hey, as we kind of wrap before we do our toast, where can people find you? How can they connect with you?
Thanks for asking. Thanks, guys, for having me on here. It's been such a privilege. But our company is The New Flat Rate at thenewflatrate.com. You can email me, Danielle at thenewflatrate.com. I'm on LinkedIn. And if anybody is, no matter what kind of business you have, if you're kind of wondering about your pricing strategy or what should my hourly rate be, we've got a really great billable hour calculator. I'd love to get it to you. Or you can talk to one of our pricing strategists just to be able to talk to somebody else about your prices, because often we hear, what's everybody else price like in our area? What about this? What about that? But we've got some really simple tools to kind of help you see, oh yeah, I am priced right, or no, I'm not. And it's just a great lever to pull in your business is your pricing. And we talk to people every day. And so we'd love to help you out with that. Reach out if we can be of service.
That's awesome. Can we put that price calculator in the show notes potentially, Danielle? Is that something you can share with us? Or do you want people to reach out to get that?
Yeah, I'd love to stick it on there. They're working on making it a download, but it's not a download today. Today they got to set an appointment.
Okay.
So reach out, and it's almost on a download.
That's great.
So when it's available.
That's great. That's great. Well, we end every episode with a toast. So, Drew, you're up this week. What are you raising your glass to? Or he froze.
Drew is frozen. That's what he's
coming back.
So amazed.
We'll run that back. Drew, you're up for the toast. What are we raising our glasses to this week?
All right, so here's what I'm raising my glass to. I'm raising my glass to the brave ones who start something great and have the guts to continue to change. To those who decide to pull their cars off to the side, take that phone call, and then ultimately decide to burn the ships. That's what I'm raising my glass to today.
Nice.
Man, I'll drink to that all day long. Cheers. Well done. That's a man who knows how to give a good toast. Yeah.
I'm good.
Absolutely. Well, there we have it. Danielle took a family business that she helped start.
Thank you.
Turned it inside out, created a system that's revolutionizing an industry. It's proof that sometimes the best way to honor a legacy is to completely reimagine it. So before you go, do us a favor, subscribe to Whiskey is for Closers wherever you get your podcasts. Leave us a review, tell us what you're drinking while you listen, and if you've got a founder story that needs telling, reach out. We'd love to explore having you on the show. So until next time, whiskey is for closers, but building systems that sell themselves, that's for founders who kind of want their life back. Keep building, keep scaling, and keep pouring. Cheers.
Woo! Love it.